that one instance?
Yes. Yes, that was it, definitely.
That's great. And how was the education or the process to become a watchmaker?
So you can choose to do 3 or 4 years. So with 4 years, you will be an entrepreneur as well. In the Netherlands, we don't really have brands like Groeneveld. It's really something different. So most people are going to repair watches. So to be able to do that, you normally have to have your own company or something like it. So it's quite different from making. You really go for repairing watches or clocks. So you choose for 3 or 4 years, so without or with entrepreneurship, and then you can choose if you specialize in watches or in clocks or just both.
And so you decided to specialize in watches or in clocks?
In what? Sorry.
And you specialized in watches or in clocks?
I didn't want to specialize in one of them, but they made me because I did 3 years. So I did watches. I
Okay.
chose for watches.
And did you complete any apprenticeships or internships with any of the known brands?
Yes. So first I had an internship in the Netherlands for 9 months. It was a restorer of clocks and watches. And then I went to Switzerland, first 2 months in Frederic Constant, and then 1 month in Jaeger Gould. So same company.
Yeah, that's great. That's
Yeah,
great it's great to interact with someone who's worked at the same place.
same. Would love to discuss it with you.
Yeah. And so were you like you did your course in Netherlands or did you do it in Switzerland?
Yes, I did it in the Netherlands. We have one school in the Netherlands which teaches the watchmaking. So
How are your eyes?
my eyes, my eyesight. Well, it's fine, but we use a loop, so
Yeah.
it's you don't if you don't have a good eyesight, you have like glasses and loops, which helps you. For those really small things like the finishing and everything, you just need a loop with. You're just using it all day.
Yeah. Uh, and what are some of the brands which you look up to on the basis of your interests and knowledge, or maybe like brands you aspire to work in with in future?
I think yeah, well, it depends on what site you're looking at. Like the design, I really love from Jaeger LeCoultre, but maybe that's because it's a bit classy, feminine. But I really love the movements from Groeneveld because you just see it's Groeneveld straight away, and yeah, it's just pretty. But I really like the atmosphere of Moser, the dials as well, or the craftsmanship of Akrivia. So it depends on it, you know. I definitely love the independence more than bigger companies. That's just from the watchmaker side, of course.
Uh, Viranti, would you want to take over from here?
Sure, thank you, Priti and Emma. It was really interesting to see, what are some of the foundational efforts that go into enabling a journey like the one that Emma has had to reach Grunfeld. So I know that apart from the education and the internship, I think Emma, you also keep busy at home with several projects related to watches and maybe other jewelry from your goldsmith education. So do you want to share with us what you're working on right now?
So at the moment I'm working on a repeater at home, but it's all completely apart. It's a movement from around 8030, so it's all worn out and it's quite a big project. I wish I could have shown it, but it's too well. It's all just a part, so that's hard. But I can show you some of the other watches I want to work on when this one is finished. So
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean that's just amazing. Almost a 200-year-old watch. You're
Yes.
working it apart. That's that's something.
I have one over here. It's even way older. It's from the 1760s. The
Wow.
wait, you can see over here the chain is missing. So I
Okay.
have a couple of those projects where the chain is like completely apart, and I will fix the chain. So they are quite small. You use millimeters in India?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
So
Yes.
it's mostly like 0.50 millimeters, and then you have 3 layers within, so it's like 0.05 millimeters thick per layer. So I enjoy really making these kind of small parts work again. It's really nice. You can learn a lot about it.
So how difficult is it to source the parts, or do you make them yourself?
For these pocket watches, I made them myself. You can't find them. It's not possible. It's
Wow.
you can find them for watches from now on, like from the like last century, the 40s, 30s, maybe. But before
Okay.
that's just not possible.
Wow. Okay. Lovely. And do you think that this tinkering with these, pocket watches, really helps you with the work, let's say, that you do, at Ronfeld when you work on the modern movements?
I think so, because you learn how to um, well work perfectly. Um, and on the other hand, like the repeater I'm working on, it really shows me how it works, which might help me in the future if I have a repeater. But for me, it's really important as well to learn more about the different kind of movements, like the different kind of complications, because I think that's quite interesting. Like at
Wow,
Jaeger,
amazing.
I
Wow,
had
that is an interesting project.
yes, like at Jaeger there was the first time, first 2 weeks there was this classroom, and I've seen quite some beautiful movements over there. But they also showed me the giro tourbillon and the repeater and the grande sonnerie, the alarm. It really helps you to understand how movements work and how you can actually build something yourself. Of course, it's really interesting.
Wow, amazing, amazing. And I know when we were talking, earlier in the week, you mentioned that you're in the process of making your own watchmaker's table. How's that going?
But it's going well. Yesterday I put on an epoxy layer before I've made the arm supports and the table itself. So it's going well. Shall I show you?
Okay. Yeah, we'd love to see it. Maybe you can kind of show us, what are the aspects of a watchmaker's table versus a normal table, and yeah, I think that would be nice.
Yeah, if I can, of course. So it's hard to see it like this. So this is the watchmaker table I'm making. As you can see, it has over here part which is coming out. Next to that, I haven't had arm supports on it yet. And I made these arm supports which are coming over here. So actually, because it's sticking out, you can turn your movement and really rest on the table. You
Those
you
are those are
actually
armrests. Those are armrests.
yes. So you rest your arm on it, and you can actually be really steady on this table to do what you have to do with the movement. On the other hand, the goldsmith table, you're more working like this instead of this. So it's way easier if it's
Okay.
like you can see if it's cut out. Um, so you can actually work more like this, like sawing or filing. So yeah.
Wow.
If you're
You
just
have
doing it for
you
an
have
hour, it's, or you're
so you
doing
have both a watchmaker table and a goldsmith table with you. Wow. And do you find that your goldsmith education is coming in handy, with your work that you're doing today on the watches, working with different
definitely,
materials, maybe?
of course. I mean, I know a lot more about precious materials and most of the other watchmakers do. And next to that, I the opportunity to learn more about the finishing and sewing and painting. Very good thing.
Okay. Yeah, we're just having a little background noise. Puneet, is it possible for you to mute Pratesh?
Want me to
Okay,
mute?
yeah, thank you.
Oh.
No, no, you're okay. We were having some guest who left the mic open. It happens, yeah. All right. So, wow, okay. So how long do you think it's going to take for you to now finish this watchmaker's table?
I hope I can finish it on Monday or Tuesday. So soon.
Okay, well, we look forward to seeing the final product, maybe on your Instagram.
I'll share it. I will.
Wonderful. Nice, nice. Okay, well, that was fun, to see that the kind of projects that you're working on. And maybe, we can transition now to, your main engagement with Grunfeld, and maybe we can talk about that. Is that okay?
Of course.
Yeah.
We could.
Yeah, I think the rest of the audience is also waiting to hear about Grunfeld and the work you do there. Would you like to just take us through a little bit about the company? I know that they are third generation watchmakers, but
Oh,
how they started and where they are.
so their grandparent, well, their grandfather, he was a watchmaker. He is born in 1896. So you see that as well coming back in their um, models. They use the dates of the birthdays of the family members who are important in the business. So he started a repairing shop, a jeweler. His father, of their father, took it over, and they themselves they went first to Switzerland to learn and everything, and then they came back and started actually their own brand. So how you see them today. So their father and their grandfather didn't have a brand. They were a shop. They were a jeweler shop. Next to that, they all take care of the church in Oldenzaal, where they're based. And I think their sons and daughters they will take over in the future. So taking care of the clock in Oldenzaal, the church clock, but as well the company. So that's really cool.
Wow.
And
So since I think the early 20th century, uh, the clock in Oldenzaal has been
mhm,
serviced and maintained by the Grunfeld family. Is that right?
yes, yes,
That's quite a legacy.
yes. So a couple of weeks ago, the carillon was broken. So the father of the brothers took it with him from upstairs, and he repaired it in the company. And he just loves to show you how it all works. It's really cool. And for example, the remontoir is really based on the clock because it has a remontoir system as well. So it's nice
Okay.
to see these things coming back.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I also hear that the Grunfeld team is very busy right now with a big project on their hands. I think you're moving to a new place.
Yes.
Is there anything you can share about that? And
Um,
how do you think that's going to help, the team and the brand?
well, we're just moving a street further, so it's still in Oldenzaal. It's actually next to the church. It's bigger. It's their first school, so it's again entwined in their history. it's really nice. It's a big place. We can invite guests. It would be really nice. We can grow. So it would be really nice to move. I think we will go next year, the first half of next year. So we're really looking forward to it.
Wow. Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure. And I think with a brand that's been you know in the market for just over maybe 12 or nearly 13 years, it also symbolizes the kind of growth and the confidence the Gronefeld brothers have in the future of the brand. So I think that's something exciting. Yeah.
Indeed.
So how big is the team right now at Gronefeld?
So at this point we are with 10. So 7 watchmakers, and then Tim, Bart, and the wife of Bart. Of Tim, sorry. um, so we are with 7 in the atelier, 7 watchmakers.
So including the owners, the team is 10 people. Oh, wow, that's a really small but power packed team, I would imagine. So I mean, again, I'm going to ask some questions, and we'll soon take a look at the chat as well. I think a few questions are coming through, and you can certainly answer what you're allowed to answer. Okay, I think we're
Yes.
very curious here, but so how many pieces do you make in a year generally?
So I think now we are with a couple of new people in Groeneveld. So I'm one of them, and well, we have to learn a lot. So what we learn in school is just not the same as what we do in Groeneveld. So in Groeneveld we all have to learn everything. So it takes a long time, and it takes a lot of time of them as well to teach us. So at this point, I believe we are at 50 this year, something like that. But I think next year it will go up because we are learning. We have a couple of new people over, so I think next year will be much more. But for this reason, of course.
I think very few companies can actually claim that in a year like 2020 that they are going to anticipate growth starting 21 and have already seen the growth in 2020. So talking about 2020, it's been a bit of a interesting year. Okay, I know it's been definitely an interesting year for you. So, do you want to share? I mean, how has Gronefeld kind of managed through, and how has it been for you as a watchmaker?
Well, I think for Groeneveld it was okay. They were of course quite scared in the beginning as well for what was going to happen, but it all turned out quite well because people are now more looking on the internet and more looking into the brands, and you actually can just talk with the guys. They're more than fine with it. They love to talk with their customers. So I think this year was just great for them. Well, in the beginning they were a bit scared, of course, but it all went fine, happily. So and for me, well, I was
Yeah.
in Switzerland when the COVID came. So when I came back, well, I finished school and started at Groeneveld, so I can't complain. Not at all. It was a good year for me.
Yeah, I think it's been a good year for you to be able to join a brand like Gronefeld. So wonderful. Again, congratulations on that.
Yes.
And
Also to see
so
Frederic and
you
Jeju.
know, true. Yes, absolutely. And maybe towards the end of our discussion, we can maybe have a little bit of a fireside chat between you and Ritti, about your time at JLC. That would be nice. Yeah. And Gronefeld has recently won many awards as well. Okay, for their work. And is there anything that any particular watch or award that you felt was special and that you'd want to talk about?
Well, I don't think one is more special than the other. I mean, we're mostly talking about the GPHG, of course, and but I don't think one of the category is more special than the other. So I don't know what to say about that.
Okay. Well, maybe we take the opportunity to visit the Groenfeld website, and maybe you can show us some of the models and what you're working on. Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
All right, just give me a second here.
Also, Viranji, in the meantime, there are a couple of more questions on the chat, so maybe you can.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep.
So let's see what questions we have on the chat. Okay, so there was one question from one of our group members, Pata. He's asking that he always wondered how the field of vision changes. If the watchmaker be a leftist versus a rightist, and would he use the loop on the left or the right eye? Um,
So I'm left-handed. So I have the problem all the time. But with the loop, it doesn't really matter which eye you use. I mean, you have a dominant eye, so you mostly use your dominant eye. It's more because you think it's more comfortable. But with being left-handed, it's quite annoying because it's all made for right-handed people. But it's in every craft like that. So you just adjust it like you always do, and you learn from it. And sometimes you have to learn to do things with your right hand instead of your left hand. And so it's fine. It's just sometimes a bit more effort.
Sure. So the next question is from Vasu, and his question is, what's your favorite Groenfeld piece ever made?
I have no clue. I love them all, actually. Only the first one, the repeater with tourbillon, it was, well, the technique is cool, but I think how it looked, the design is less, it wasn't yet Groeneveld, so maybe that's the least one I liked, but I don't know which one I like best.
Okay, fair enough. And we have another question. It's from one of our youngest and most enthusiastic members, Ahan. He's asking, what's a usual day in the life of a watchmaker at an independent brand look like?
Well, that's the cool thing about Groeneveld. It's actually every day different. So as I'm learning, in the beginning I was doing a lot of anglage, so it was actually every day more likely the same. But now, well, after that I began doing more montage, so putting the pieces together and finishing them, and now I'm actually building the pieces up. So I'm actually, yeah, it's every day actually different. So that's cool.
So there's never a dull day, huh? So that's what I take away from your feedback.
Well, sometimes you have to do things you don't like that much, then it's actually a long day and it can be dull, but mostly it's really great.
Okay. Nice. All right. So we have one question from Meet. What is special about the 1 Hertz, and what does the independent dead seconds mean?
So the 1 Hertz is 1 Hertz is actually in frequency like 7,200, I believe. Normal watches, they go with 18,000 or 21,600. So it's a way lower frequency, which how should I explain that? You, how do I say that in English? The air train is going less fast, where they think it could be less accurate, but on the other side, what their way of thinking was is it has less wearing. So it's always in watchmaking like this is better or that is better, and it's actually you can say for both ways something. So for this way, it says it has less wearing and it's actually still functioning really good. So the pocket watches has as well a way lower frequency than the watches now. So that was their idea. So if you look at the balance, it's going way slower as well. So you can actually really see the movement of the balance going from one side to the others, which is really nice to see. And that 8 seconds, it's like in a quartz movement, you have the seconds is actually like really going from 1 second to the other, instead of just in a flow. Yeah, that's that big. And there are again pocket watches which had that as well, and where they got the inspiration from.
Okay. Cool. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for sharing that. Okay, I do have the Grunefeld website up now, so maybe I'll share that. Okay.
It's indeed kind of like a slow motion movement.
Okay.
Sorry.
So here we are on the website, and I'll allow you to guide us. Maybe you want to talk about a certain model that you're working on right now.
Yeah, you can go to the collection. Oh, you are already in collection.
Yeah.
Yes, so I'm mostly working on the Principia. I also work on the Remontoire, but at the moment I'm working on the Principia.
So the 1941 Principia, yeah?
Yes. So 1941 is the birthday of their father, chef. That's where they got it from.
Okay.
The 1941 is the famous one, right? Yeah, the GPHG awards, and I think they've been covered by a lot of. It was, I think, the first watch, if I'm not mistaken.
Sorry, what did you say?
The 1941 was their first watch for Grunfeld?
The Principia 1941, or what? Because our first one was
Our
first one was a repeater with.
Yeah, go ahead.
With the tourbillon.
Oh.
I don't even think they have it on their website at the moment. So, but that was the first one.
So I think Grunfeld started from a very senior level of watchmaking from the first day, because other companies start bottom up, but Tim and Bart have always been the challenging kind. So they've kind of just started from up there, saying, let's take it to another level from step one.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, that's amazing.
I think also I was listening into one of Tim and Bart's interviews where they mentioned that they work.
And he's gone.
Okay, Viranchi, I think we're losing you.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
So where they started at Renault et Papy in which is now a part of Audemars Piguet, and they both were on high complications. So Bart, he was a part of the repeaters. He built repeaters, and Tim, he built the tourbillons. So the first watch they made, they actually wanted to show what they could do and what they're coming from. So so they made a repeater tourbillon. I guess that's what you wanted to say, didn't you, Viranchi?
Yeah. So sorry, I had a bit of a network issue, but thank you for sharing that. All right. Pictures here as well. Let's see if click this. I don't know if it'll allow me to look at the movement.
I don't know. Maybe if you click on one, you can. I believe you can see the option for the movement. Then.
Hi, Virashi, can I just jump in and ask a question if that's okay?
Sure, Ankur, go ahead.
Hi, Emma, nice to meet you. I had two quick questions. The first is, I with the limited knowledge of watches that I have, I love two watchmakers case backs. The first is Elange, because they make very beautiful finishing, and the backside you actually see what the watch is made of. The raw mechanism, levers and gears. And
Mm-hmm.
for Grunfeld, I that's the second watchmaker that whose case back I love. And because it's you see the gears and everything, but it's artistic. It's not. I feel it's not as raw as ALS, but it's more beautiful and it's more aesthetically pleasing. And somehow there's a combination of mechanics as well as like a painting. So, what's the design philosophy when
Um,
you work on the case back?
so the brothers, they design it together, and well, they ask our input, but they mostly do it themselves. But they actually have the Netherlands as their way to look at. So the old buildings that we have in the Netherlands is actually kind of the same shape as the bridges. So that's actually where the design of the bridges comes from. So you will keep seeing that, I think, in the next movements as well.
All right. Okay. And the second question was, are there any, because you are a watchmaker, are there any short courses that are available across any city in the world, like maybe a month-long course or a few weeks courses?
I don't know. I think there should be. It wouldn't make you a watchmaker, of course, because it just takes a lot of practice and a lot of technique and
Okay.
information. But there
The
should be
basic
some
courses,
of
yeah.
them. I don't know. I should look into that. It's interesting.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. No problem, Emma. Thank you
And
for
you
the
too.
time.
Okay, good. So yeah, so here's the movement, the beautiful movement, and I think as I was sharing earlier as well, while the front dial certainly is attractive, I think the movement brings a different sense of awe, when you look at it. So what are you working on nowadays? Can you are you at liberty to show us which part of the movement you're working on?
So I did boring time working on the dial side. So I'm actually working on the mechanism to put your crown in different positions. Oh, that's hard in English.
Okay.
But like last week, I was working on the balance bridge, which you see only half of it on the side. Yes, that one. That was I was working on that last Friday. Well, not yesterday, but the week before on Friday, I believe. So yeah, well, it's every time it's something different, of course.
Emma, I have a quick question.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
And
What is
yes,
the
Ritik, go ahead.
smallest part in a movement that you've ever worked on? Like how
What did
small?
you say?
How small is the smallest part that you may have worked on in a movement?
Okay, so on this balance page, you see next to the stone on the left, you see this really small. If you go to the right, yeah, okay, on the left of the ruby. No, yes, that one. So that's a baton holder, and I had to make anglage on it, and I thought actually they were joking me, but they weren't. Um, so I had to make anglage on it, and the screws we have to polish them and etc. So that's actually already quite small. I think that's the smallest part until now, but it's to make anglage on is
Yeah.
interesting.
Wow.
Absolutely. Do we have any other questions in the chat? Puneet, can you check since I'm sharing the screen?
There's no question as such, but there's a lot of chatter about the salmon dials. I think they've become really famous because salmon dials were always supposed to be really rare. But when the 1941 was launched, everyone's eyes was on the dial. So
everyone wants a salmon dial. It's just every order that comes in is like salmon dial, salmon dial, salmon dial. It's crazy.
I was just going to ask you that do you get most of the orders which are salmon dials, because the 9041 was a very famous one, and also the one after that. But the salmon, so a lot of watchmakers have tried the salmon dials, not the big ones, the big names, but a few watchmakers have also failed in the recent past making salmon dials, because the salmon color doesn't really come out as good as it comes out with watches such as Gunofel. So it's not a very easy color, I think, to play with.
I don't think so either.
Yeah.
But you see it more often, indeed. It's interesting what they do with it. So which one do you prefer?
Right.
I love the salmon dials. I mean, you can't deny the fact that there is a lot of euphoria around it, but at the same time, it is a beautiful color.
It is.
Yeah.
You're absolutely right. Not everybody can get that salmon color right, and certainly Gonofel has mastered that. Emma, should we take a look at another model, maybe the Remontois?
Sorry, another question from Ahan.
Okay.
Yeah. So taking apart, so when we were talking about the old watch which you were, trying to service or repair, and when you take apart such an old watch and then repairing it becomes like a big mammoth task. How exactly does a watchmaker compartmentalize and break the whole task into smaller bits? Because it's not going to get over in a day, right? I mean, you said it takes a lot of time. So you have a table, you just do something and then move out. How do you kind of, make logic of it?
So with the repeater I'm working on, I got it actually to do my exam on. I got it from the one I did my first internship at, and he's like, okay, I got this from my teacher, now it's your turn. Because I had it in my drawer for already 30 years and I couldn't do it because I don't have the time for it. So you wanted a complicated watch for your exam, just go for it. So I got it and I thought, okay, it shouldn't be that much work. It's just, I should be able to make it function by doing this, and this. But then if you open a watch, there is so much more going on. So you actually just take apart the watch, just try to see what you kind of have to do to make it work. So if you have done that, if it's working, you can go on and see if you can make it better. Maybe make it look nicer. But then there's so many steps you can take. I think it's the most important thing in the beginning to make it work. And if it works, then you are going on to see how you can make it work better. And if you want to go on then it's about how it looks. Because you just have, well, if you're doing it for a customer, it's almost not doable. So so I build it up like that.
Interesting. So another one. This one was expected. Which is a watch which you wear? What watch do you wear? What watch gets your wrist time? What do you like?
Well, that's actually quite interesting because I don't really wear watches. I really want to wear a watch, but in the time I've been doing my study, I've been really looking at what I think is a nice watch for a woman, and I kind of figured it out now what I do like, but it took me a while to actually find out what I like. And as the watch industry isn't really um, focused on women at all. And if it's focused on women, it should have diamonds and butterflies. Well, that's not how it works. So I think it's a really interesting topic actually to discuss what would be a good woman's watch. And yeah, so what I really like is like the ultra thin from Jaeger LeCoultre. I really love it's a bit bigger. It's like a 39, but it's super thin. And that makes it elegant again. And the design of it is super elegant. So I'm actually
Emma,
really
that's my favorite watch too.
What did you say, Fried?
That's my favorite watch too.
Good.
The
Sorry, I'm not the only one. I actually was really interested in what your favorite watch would be. But that.
And we have another one which says, from Ahan, can you share some insights into the Parallax Tourbillon and the Remonteur, the 1941?
Wait, what was
the Parallax Tourbillon? Maybe you can, Viraj, you can bring that up. It's a part of the collection.
I'm just
I
trying
think
to
it's
bring
an
it up.
award-winning watch, right?
The Parallax Tourbillon.
The Parallax Tourbillon, right? Yeah.
I haven't really worked on the Parallax Tourbillon myself, but I can tell you something about it, I think. So the Parallax is called the Parallax Tourbillon because it's going even as the tourbillon. So when the second hand is moving, it's moving in the same, it's moving parallel to the tourbillon, so that they put the dial for the seconds, they put it higher, so you don't have the parallax wronging. How do you say that? So if the dial and the second hands are quite far from each other, and you look from one corner, it looks like if it's just next to the index, and if you look from the front, you see it's on the index. So to put the dial a bit higher, you don't have this wronging that much. So that's why it's called the parallax. And well, the tourbillon, it explains itself, of course.
Lovely. So there was another question, I think, so maybe we can take a look at that as well.
Mm-hmm.
There we go.
Viranchi, you're breaking off a little. I think maybe switch your video off because you're sharing screen also, no? So bandwidth, it must be taking quite a bit.
So while Viranji loads it, Emma, is it true that about more than 90% of the parts which go into the Grunfeld watches are actually in-house produced, including the hands and everything, or do we still outsource a lot of it?
Well, we do outsource a lot of things. So it's mostly it's actually the finishing that we do ourselves, and then adjusting it and then putting it together. But the making of the parts is done by someone else because it's just too much for 10 people. It's not doable.
Of course.
Emma,
I think what?
Yeah. Please carry on.
I think a lot of brands do that. There is, I think, no brand who does everything in house. There are some who wants to do it and they are working on it, but it's just so hard.
And I was going to ask, who designs the watches at Grunfeld?
The brothers.
Okay.
Okay. Well, I'm just going into the page of the Remontoire. Maybe Emma, you can help us understand how this model is inspired by the clock movement. Maybe what aspect of the movement?
So the Remontoire has a remontoire system who gives the constant force to the balance, so to the part which regulate the regulating part of the movement, and it's the same in the clocks. So it's an old way to give constant force. I think at this point in time we have a lot of other ways to give constant force to the movement or to the regulating system, but it's nice to get back to history and use some of those other ways as well.
Wow. So I'm looking at the movement, and I believe this particular area is where the remontoir is, right?
Yes, indeed.
Okay.
So above is barrel.
Are there any other brands that actually use?
And he's gone.
I think he meant to ask, are there any other brands that also use?
I believe Sean uses it, but I'm not sure actually. I don't know. But I believe they do.
Okay, it's
Oh, yes, it is a beautiful movement indeed, right? And I think we're coming close to the top of the hour. And Puneet, are there any other questions on the chat? I mean, if somebody wants to unmute and ask a question, that's fine as well.
So Emma, Tim and Bart have been known in the industry to, like, the way they started was with a bang, with the tourbillon movement in their watch, and they're just taking it to another level with every watch in terms of taking it higher up a notch. Such a short period of time, they won 3 awards from the GP8G. They're just taking it higher and higher. Now, what lies ahead? As in, is there anything very interesting coming up? Are they going to play with some movement, or even what they're known for? They're known for getting movements or some kind of complication from the past and then revisiting it in a very different way. So, what lies in store? How will you guys keep up to the standard which you have already taken the company to?
I'm not sure if I can say much about
No, whatever you can share in terms of just the idea.
Yes, but they are busy with things, of course. So I think when we have moved to the other building, and you will hear more about it, I think.
So everything of the Gronefeld brothers is in Netherlands, right? Or do you have like a office or some setup in Switzerland also, or how is the operations?
Yes, we are all in the Netherlands. We are all Dutch people.
Okay.
I think they won't go very soon for someone else because everyone is talking Dutch. So it's a bit hard. Like Chez Le Coultre is super big, and they take on other people. So, but well, even though in Jeju you have I had to talk in French. The watchmakers didn't talk even in English or anything. I don't know how that was in the design part.
Yeah, and also in terms of when you talk about watches or hot horology, the first name which comes into everyone's mind is Switzerland. And being Dutch, Netherlands is not. I don't know. I might be totally wrong, but I don't know if it's it's known for watchmaking as such. So this will be a little bit, this brand is a little bit offset out there also, which makes it very interesting, right? Because I wouldn't say there's a competition between countries as such when it comes to watchmaking, but still it's like the Swiss, the Japanese, and then you have some part of Dutch. There's some Austrian and French companies also.
Yes.
Yeah. So it's kind of a dominated market, if I would use that word, by the Swiss.
Yes, I think so too. But I think it's changing actually. I mean, you see it going on over the world. And I think Germany is, by the way, quite known for watchmaking as well in Glashutte.
So I think Devi and Sabyasachi were talking about how women watches should be, there should be more brands coming up with more women watches without filling it up with a lot of diamonds and bling, because,
yes, but I think whole world is going more to an unisex way. Well, at least here in the Netherlands they are. So maybe it's not really for women or for men.
Yeah.
But it's just more
just watch.
classy or more sporty. Everyone just do what they want, and then I mean there are probably more guys as well who want to wear something more smaller or more feminine or more classic, or you know.
Yeah, I agree with you that there is a very thin line between women watches and men watches to a certain extent also, and if you look at it with a particular angle, because if it's a smaller dial watch, men are wearing smaller dial watches all the time, and women can probably use those watches, and a lot of women are also shifting on to a 36 or a 39 type of size also, so then they
Yes.
get into the men part of the watch collection as such. So yeah, I mean, and especially with hot horology, when watchmaking is respected, the way the art is made on the watch is what we are talking about, irrespective of who really wears it, right? So
I'm
yeah.
actually quite interested because we have another woman over here, Debbie. Maybe she can tell us a bit about what she thinks about watches like for women. I mean, I see her saying now that she has a very small wrist, so I'm quite interested in how her opinion is. If you want to share it.
Sure.
Maybe go ahead if you want to share it. You can just unmute yourself.
So my wrist is small, so sometimes I'll see a watch that I like, but I just can't pull it off. I can't wear it because it would look ridiculous on my wrist. I like watches that are unique and beautiful in the mechanics or the way the dial and case are designed. And I don't know. To me, a watch, what draws me to a watch is sometimes undefinable. I just see it and I can't stop thinking about it. That was the case with this Oris Big Crown Pointer date. I saw it in a jewelry store when I went in to buy an Oris Aquis, and I had seen this one also, and for weeks I kept thinking about it and thinking about it. So I finally went back and bought it. And I like watches with unique, like I loved the fact that the date on this is the pointer date rather than a date window. So I've only been a watch enthusiast for less than a year, and I've purchased many watches.
I must agree on the Oris. It's quite nice. I've serviced a couple of them, and they're very elegant again. But it's not that they're made for women, but we're attracted to it apparently.
So recently there was a very popular hashtag going on Instagram. It was watches for women, and a woman wearing like I am a woman, so whatever watch I'm wearing is for women, right?
Exactly. Yes, that's the way I like to think of it as well. I have one watch that I would say is very feminine, and I actually have only worn it once or twice since I got it because it's a very dressy watch, and I haven't been going out anywhere where I need to get dressed up, so I really haven't worn it. And it's a Timex, but it's very pretty, and so I look forward to being able to get dressed up and go out to dinner one night and wear it again.
With the mask.
Well,
I think we all look forward to that.
I think there's a very interesting point you brought up there, Debbie. So if you see any women watches collections from the big brands like the JLC or the Cartiers of the world, when they have the women watch collections, you mark that they're always dressy, like most of the time rather. I don't know if there's any sports steel watch for women as such, because it's just, I don't know if it's like a compartment out there that, if it's women watches, it has to be dressy, it has to be what you were mentioning, blingy as such. So there is that kind of a set routine for women watches which is there at the moment in the industry maybe, but I don't know. You designers have to break that.
Yes,
I think it's very important for the watch brands to stop specifying men's watch, women's watch. That to me would be very helpful. To just sell watches and not define them as men's or women's.
Yeah.
I agree.
Hi, Emma. I had a few questions. If can you hear me?
Yes, I
Yeah.
can.
Yeah. Hi. That was a wonderful session, and thank you so much. Lots of little nuggets of information there that I had no idea about. So there's this one question that I've always wondered about. You know, as a watchmaker, you have all the insights into the little dirty secrets of the industry as well, you know, like what goes into making a watch and all of that.
Yes.
So from that perspective, how difficult or how easy does it get to actually choose a watch for yourself? Now I know you said that you don't wear one, but how would your perspective affect you from, you know, making it and then choosing a watch to wear every day?
But I think that's the reason why I don't wear one, because it is really hard. I mean, um, I'm working at Grönefeld. I see how beautiful everything is made. Um, but it's at this moment. I mean, I just came from school. It's way above my budget, of course. But as I'm making this quality, I don't want to have less. So I do think that that's kind of the reason why I don't have one yet. But I do think in the future I will go for the Jeja. Just because it reminds me as well of this really nice time I had in Switzerland. And I think watches as well about emotion, like jewelry. In the with the jewelry, you say as well that you sell emotion, and I think it's a bit as well like that in watches. It's not completely like that, but it's a partly like that, I think.
Yeah, I understood. Very well said, actually. You're right. Another question that I had was, and I don't know how much of it you can answer, but I read on the Gronefeld website that there are these bespoke watches that they do. So I
Mhm.
just wanted to ask as to like what is the extent of making it a bespoke watch? Like, do they just customize the hands and the dial color or something like that? Or can you completely make a new watch if you ask the company, you know?
Well, I don't think we will go for a completely new watch because there is so much time in designing a new movement and the case that's just that will be I think it will be too crazy. But if there is just a small thing you want to have in a pitch or something, then maybe then I think they would do that. They have done it in the past, so it depends
Okay.
on how far you go.
So say I wanted a 1941 Remontois and
Mhm.
I wanted it with a lot of guilloche on the dial or maybe like engine turning on the dial or something, which you don't do. You do normal like finishing. So, you know, I wanted
Is
my
it,
set pattern on the dial and that's it. The same movement, the same case, but a different dial.
but the dials, they had the Remontoir dials. They had that bespoke, and then it was made by Cari. So when you have a Cari dial, Guilloche Cari dial, on the Remontoir movement. So that has been done a lot.
Okay, okay. Thank you.
But the Remontoir is now completely sold out. It has been so popular. We're still making them. We have still a lot to make, but they are completely sold out.
Okay, wonderful. We've gone a little bit over, but I think a very good session. One last question for you, Emma. So, what does the future look like for you in
Well,
watchmaking?
I hope, well, like every watchmaker, I think to once be able to start an own brand. That would be really, really great. But yeah, we'll see.
We all look forward to following your journey there, and certainly, I wish you all the best for that.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, I think Puneet, shall we wrap
Yeah,
up then?
I think that's a good idea. We've always. So Emma, this is like the usual thing, right, with us. So I don't think Viranchi did confess to you that we always go over time when it comes to watches and discussing watches.
I get that.
We just don't realize when we, when you cross the time, because it's an amazing topic. And with you, it was really interesting to understand your journey, and also what one of the most, I would say, hottest independent watchmakers in the world right now is doing. A very bold watchmaker, and that is what the perception right now in the watch market is for Gronefeld. And when we started speaking to you, and that's how it just started telling that, yeah, these guys are kind of crazy. I mean, they come up with, you guys just take it to another level every time, all with only 10 people, which is again amazing. I mean, fantastic. So thank you so much for having us host you, talk to you, understand from you so much. And I think everyone enjoyed the session thoroughly. And looking forward to, like Viranji said, we are going to follow you closely now and see what you're up to, right? And thanks Viranchi, thanks Vritti for hosting this wonderful session with all of us. Thank you for all the guests joining in, and I hope everyone has a good weekend. Thank you so much.
Thanks everyone. And this is probably our last session in the year 2020. So I'd like to thank everybody for their support, and wish you very happy holidays, and
Yep, we'll be back with something else, some special versions again in the new year. And until then, have a good one.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.